Hey, what's up, everyone? I was looking at some Ivanchuk stuff, and two of my favorite players. And this game was very important personally because I was there. This is New York at the PCA in 1995, and I remember the thinking this was the sickest game I had seen up to that point. Um, let's just get into it. I'm just looking at this with fresh eyes for the first time in 1,000 years, and I just remember leaving kind of on a cloud from the final shots. I think Morozevich made some boo boos here, but we're gonna have an open Spanish. Um, I mean, Chucky plays everything, so he knows so much theory. This is generally the starting position, and Bishop e3 is one of the main lines. A little bit rare. I think more normal is like knight d2 or c3 is more common. Bishop e3 is a nice move against the people who like to play bishop c5. So let's just look at bishop e3, bishop e7. This is a rapid game. c3, knight c5. I remember that all these moves were coming rather quickly. And he comes back here to hit this pawn. I guess the main counterplay will come from a bishop d4 and the fact that g7 will be hanging. So rook e1. And Chucky took it and got in his bd4 and took this guy. And this must be the starting position according to theory. Threatening rook e6, obviously. So queen d6, and now I think he has to play queen h6, and that everything's okay. Queen h6, and then bishop f8. We take on f8, queen f8, queen h4, queen e7, takes, knight d2 or something. It's supposed to be some small plus for white. But he went bishop h6. This is a mistake because it just allows bishop g4, and all of a sudden black seizes the initiative. I think it's important, not to allow this. So we'll just run through some moves here, and then we'll go back. Bishop h6, and he got hit. Now from here, it's just a masterpiece. He did queen h4. I mean, obviously, he had something for this move. And Chucky, get out of the way. And what else to do there? I mean, you're not doing too well. What's happening? Queen g3. I guess. Well, you can't. I mean, h6 is just en prise, right? So you can't. I mean, it's the only square to run away, but you can't run away. So therefore, you have to take this bishop. And he must have thought that he had compensation with an open king and two bishops, and that he felt like he had to take this because e1 is going to be a mate. So this is certainly not enough compensation, but for a rapid game and a4 coming, two bishops, maybe h7 also weak. Maybe he thought he could just play a little spazzy like this and be okay. But Ivanchuk just tries to, starts trading pieces, or trying to trade pieces, taking some squares. Now I imagine I mean, this knight is now coming into the game. Maybe some knight e5, knight d3, a little b pawn hanging. Maybe the G line is useful. So a4 and b4. Don't let the a file open. It's pretty straightforward to break down the structure. Take knight d4 already, threatening knight e2, and snap a rook. So you had something like this. Or you defend another way, maybe just eats the light bishop, and then you don't have two bishops, and you're just down the exchange. So now he's threatening mate, and now the fun begins. The fun begins now. What to do? Several shots in a row. Rook e6. First hit the bishop. And then knight here. What a nice move. Threatening d4. Forking the rook and bishop. And so he moves out of the way. And it comes. And he figures that, I mean, if he can get in bishop d3 check and move him out of the way, then the rook will come to e1. It's mate. So the second shot, threaten mate, defense, and knight c3. I was like very impressed by this knight b5, knight c3 maneuver. Pretty sexy, right? This bishop on d1 now he's threatening cut off the rook from d3. So the bishop d3 is the thing. And slide the king and rook e1 again. And rook takes e1. It's kind of nice, right? And he's threatening stuff. I mean, and what to do? It's just kind of gone. I mean, you may figure that he can make Luft, but it doesn't help because the bishop was coming to d3 with the business, and now he's coming to h3, so it's the same. He can't take the knight on c3, so he just resigned. I thought it was pretty cool that he hit him with all these shots in a row. And I'm watching this live. I'm like, we didn't have computers back then. 1995, it was just all handmade, hecho en casa. And I just thought it was cool that he just immediately took him out as soon as he was up material. The technique was really impressive. Here, bishop h6 is a clear mistake. And if we do some analysis, you'll see that he had to play queen h6. Yeah. And, well, let's move over to the analysis board so we can get some more lines. And let's see what's happening here. Queen h7 also possible. Castle long. I don't think I would do queen h7 to take it and then go queen h6. I mean, philosophically, you don't want to have your bishops move out of the way and then give the guy two open rook files towards your king. This one seems to be much more sensible. And right, this. Is there another one besides bishop f8? Because now you're threatening bishop h7, right? So it's bishop d7. What an odd move to trade the queens. But it's getting worse. Castle long, bishop g4, bishop g4. Just anything to trade the queens, huh? cd6 and then bishop f6. Yeah, so you move the bishop away, but he trades, and cd, you're voluntarily doubling your pawns. It seems very odd to me. I think bishop f8 was certainly more human. That would probably be what happened in game most of the time. Rook f8. I mean, rook f8 doesn't feel too good either because he just gets to develop for free. Right, knight d2 and knight b3, take some squares. He gets knight b3 and then rook a d1 and just starts piling. The structure is not so good for black. So, queen here. this queen h4 thing. I thought it would be a nice move. Queen h4, second line. But he kind of just trades anyway, right? It's the same business, so why don't we just trade? And then, wow, to eat this guy. And why the hell not? And so, yeah. And so, so all of a sudden, white is just up a pawn. So this would be, like in modern theory, this would just be an opening failure for the black side. This would be tossed in the bin, so to speak, early on. So yeah, it seems that while the opening was kind of super cool in that you went for the knight d7 and chopped the central pawn. In doing so, you're opening the position for the rook on e1, and the two bishops get to run a little bit wild. So was there anything that he could do differently from this position? Maybe to pause on taking the e-pawn. Is there another way? The computer seems to think that white is definitely better, slightly better. But we saw, okay, what about castles? Castles, queen d3 is a quick mate threat, g6, and all of a sudden he has to make holes in his king side. This we understand. So I guess the main idea of playing like this for black is to take the pawn, but whether you take this way one way or the other, it's sort of the same thing. We're getting a similar position. Is there another way here? Knight g6, knight c6, knight c4 looks a little bit weird, just putting his knight off sides. But knight g6, knight g6, maybe this is the way, right? He has to take this. Now you don't have all these weaknesses over here. The queen can't sort of just come up the board. I mean, you kind of have to take it. You kind of have to take the knight. That must be happier. I mean, if you're getting rid of two bishops. Okay. Oh, wow. You have rook g7 or hg6. I would take this one personally because I don't want rook e6 on the board. But it's saying that is the better method. Rook g7, rook e6, hg6, because there's no... Okay, let's go with it. I mean, I would be more concerned like if you move the bishop somewhere. Bishop h5, for instance, bishop d3, leave a structure a little corrupted, and then develop some pieces. But okay, let's just move forward with this, and let's just say try to repair the damage, and something rook e2. And I would guess king f8 would be my first instinct. And so it doesn't look half bad. Looks like he's okay here. So knight g6, certainly better than knight c6, because this one doesn't look so bad to me. And the computer is saying this is pretty much dead equal. Like, no, the other one is... so yeah, knight. I guess the opening is fine. You just can't go to c6. Yeah. Because then the advantage begins to grow. Right. Oh my god, king d7. Okay, so queen d6, right? We saw this position already. What can happen? But king d7 is pretty fancy. What's going on with king d7? I like it. And everything else, this is good because you give him one small path, a small path to advantage. Bishop h6 now. And yeah. Okay, you have a couple of bishop jumps. Let's stop the analysis. I mean, off the top of my head, bishop on c5 feels a bit artificial. I'd rather be more compact, to be honest. I'm not sure. Oh, bishop f8. That's crazy. Okay, let's go with this one because it feels more normal. But yeah, I guess the king is on d7. No matter how you slice it, white is just better. So, okay, we learned something here. We can actually play this way with black now if we put the knight on the right square. As it was in the game, it was just kind of beautiful. I went straight to Washington Square Park after this and played all night. When you see something like this crazy maneuvers that just win tactically, very sharp, yeah, it's inspirational. Coffee also inspirational, which obviously I need because I'm in a bit of a coma here today. All right, y'all, take it easy.